Greetings and welcome back to the lab. Time for channel plans here. I've been running into various different little issues and I needed to just sort of plan some things out and figure out where I am. So I just wanted to update you on my channel plans. And so first of all, we're going to pause the bike flower. Doesn't mean we're ending it, but I've been floundering on that for a little bit and I think it makes more sense to go back to some of the older projects, but let me just sort of tell you what I ran into. I ran into, let's see if I can draw this out. On the bike flower, what I was trying to do was, how can I say this? I had a sensor light that was pointed at an LED so I could figure out how bright the LED was. And that way I could then swap out the LEDs and determine how much resistance I need to put on the LED to get the appropriate brightness. Well, as it turned out, pointing them in that direction didn't really work. So I then moved to reorienting the LED so that I was getting it out the side, because ultimately the plan with the bike flower was to have the LED projecting against a surface like that so that it would show the color here, because what's coming out of the LED is kind of like this. So that was the thinking, and I ran into one problem after another. I started spreadsheeting everything out, and I ultimately decided I need a different kind of light sensor. So I'm going to get a different kind of light sensor. I tore apart the one that I had. I have some backups, so if I need a light sensor for another project, I'm good. But for the moment, I need to wait for other stuff to arrive, so I'm going to pause the bike flower. That allows me to then move forward on. Okay, we've got lighting and audio. That's another one. The lighting that you see right now is what I think I'm going to be using. I think this is better lighting than what I've had. And what I had been trying to do, grab it here, was build a light something like this, the sort of snowman looking thing. And that was going to be up above, shining down, so that I could do fill light. But as it turns out, I just put brighter lights in my two fixtures that I've got here, and it seems to be solving the problem. What I do have, though, if I plug this in, give me a moment, there we go, is I do have my RGB light. And so what I have done is taken this design, removed this extra wing here, so it's just this part here, and it's just kind of a hockey puck shaped thing. So it's something I can play with. I can use the same circuit board that I have here. I can put whatever different lights I want. Meanwhile, I've taken down the lights that were up above, and this is how ugly all of that looks. So, plus I was having a problem with this connection right here. I was going to try and fix it, and then I just said, you know what, just put brighter lights in. That kind of solves that problem. I'll just show you what it kind of looked like before. If I try to plug this in right now, it's not going to work because there's something wrong. I'm going to take all this apart off camera and harvest whatever parts I can, and hopefully this lighting here is better. Also, while I'm talking about lighting, I'm talking about the studio, there's audio, which you're listening to right now. What I've been doing since my camera, my phone ultimately went into the swimming pool in my pocket, and there, I'll link that video again up here if anybody wants to watch it. I'm a klutz, yes. I thought about calling myself a professional klutz, but I don't get paid for being a klutz, so I guess I'm an amateur klutz. A professional klutz would be a stuntman. That said, since then, I've been having issues with the audio and trying to get that fixed up. I've got the same microphone that I was using, and I'm trying to figure out the positioning of the microphone so that I can get the clarity that I want. So hopefully this is a little bit better this time. We'll see. But that then kind of takes care of the lighting and audio. I'm just going to have to take that on a case-by-case basis. That takes us to the DIY musical keyboard. This was one of the original electronics projects, big electronics projects that I was attempting on this channel. And I was waiting so long for parts that I got away from it and got onto other projects. I would like to get that done and finished. And along those lines, let me see if I can actually retrieve that. For those that don't know that particular project, here is the keyboard that I built. But keyboard is just keys until you add sound. And so I had developed a whole sound module that will have a little header on the back here, and that header plugs onto one of these. I can put up to 4 of them across the keyboard that I've got here. Now that I've gained some 3D printing skills, I could go back and redo the keyboard here in actual plastic. This is all circuit board material with switches underneath. I will link, again, I will link that series so you can go back and see the beginning of it. But ultimately, where we are now is we've got an oscillator board, basically the sound part of it. And I've gone through several iterations. This is the current iteration. I need to put a chip in here, and I need to use these potentiometers to actually tune the first couple of oscillators and then ultimately build it out. I'll have up to 8 oscillators running on here. I'm going to have 4 of these circuit boards, so it's going to take a little bit of effort to build it all out, but I have all the parts now, so I might as well get that going and finished. So that's the keyboard project. You put that aside, hopefully without breaking it. And there's the console TV project, which started off with a simple frame, and that was phase 1. This was phase 1B. Whoops, things are falling apart because I wanted to be able to swap out the circuit board, so I haven't actually secured them in. There are a couple of little screw holes here where I can actually put the screws in. It'll hold it all together. This one, I've actually glued the screen in. This one, I still need to go back and do that. This is phase 1. Phase 2, I've finished the designing, and I've got the circuit boards. I mentioned that in the mailbag. There can be more mailbags coming up just so I can get myself caught up. And that, I've got phase 2 printed. It's on the way. I've got the circuit boards already, so I'll be able to populate the circuit boards and work on to that phase 2 of that project. Phase 3 will be more to what I was planning on. Just to give you an idea, I mean, phase 1 is just a frame. Phase 2, which you haven't seen yet, but just to give you an idea, imagine an old 1970s 25-inch tabletop TV with a couple of knobs and a speaker grill. That's kind of what I'm simulating, but in 1/12 scale. So if you think about it, 25-inch TV, 1/12 scale, we're talking 2 inches, so it's not very big. That would mean that the screen in diagonal is going to be roughly 2 inches, a little over. So it's small, but I wanted to be able to see if I could do it in 1/12 scale. And there's some issues, and we'll cover that when I get back to phase 2 there. The next phase is ultimately the plan is to go to the full-on console where you had kind of the TV in the center. You had speakers on the left and the right. It had a nice little tabletop on it. And maybe it had legs, depending on what you had. So kind of give you an idea. This is what it was like watching TV when I was a kid. Just sitting in front of this big box. And that's what I want to replicate. 1/12 scale, maybe 1/6 scale. The bigger it gets, the more expensive the 3D prints get. So we'll see what happens with that. But I've almost got all the parts to be able to get this project back. That takes us to the display frames and the switching project. And the display frames are, let me move this out of the way, and I'll point you on the second camera. I'll point you at, that's one of the display frames, and the plan is to have like 4 across and maybe 3 rows, and have a switching system so I can switch on any one of them that I want, or multiple if I want. So that's kind of the thinking on that. I wanted to get that one moving. And so that then leads us to the 4th of July project. I tried to do a Christmas project last year. I got started so late that I was basically giving details about the project after Christmas. I did Christmas lights. It was kind of interesting to do. This will be related to the Christmas lights because it'll be a display and it'll be using the same system that the Christmas lights used. But I need to get the design work done so I can get things printed and make sure I order all the parts I need so I can start building it. Because I want to be able to have this thing available, I'm hoping, in time that if somebody else wants to build the same thing by the 4th of July, they can. That is where we are. Oh, yeah. Sporadic gardening and house projects. If you've watched my channel, you know that it's not just this engineering stuff that we're talking about right now. It actually started as a gardening channel when I grew a flower, 15 years ago, that got ridiculously tall, and YouTube was kind of a new thing, and I was just getting into shooting video, and so it was just like, okay, I'll shoot a video, and what I'll try to do, I'll try and find that video, and I will link it up here so you can see a very early video from this channel. I do enjoy my gardening, but what with some things that are going on with the family right now, let's just say health issues, my parents are still with us, and I'm almost 60, so that should tell you something. There's a lot of driving around to doctors and stuff like that. So not to be depressing about it, but that's the reality of my life in the middle of trying to do all of this. This is what helps keep me sane, is being able to do this YouTube channel, being able to do these videos. So hopefully you're enjoying what you're seeing, but the gardening and the house projects are probably going to suffer a bit because I can ultimately do a lot of this electronics in the evening when everything is calmed down. The house projects, there are things that need to be fixed around here, so I might be documenting some of that. Those might be some DIY repairs, DIY-ery. That's yet another series that I can point to up in the corner here. And yeah, that's where we are. That is the plan for the channel. So like I said, I'm pausing the bike flower. The lighting and the audio, I'm kind of abandoning that, but I like the frame. I like how that looked. So I'll probably come back to that. I've had some more printed. And we'll see where we get. But I think the next couple of things you're going to see are a couple of unboxing or mailbag videos just to get you caught up on all the stuff that's arrived. And then I'm hoping I can get back to the keyboard soon, very soon. Hopefully the next video after I catch up on the mailbags. And then we'll go from there. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.